I just wanted to go over special education and ELL services during this time. All special education services such as Sped Resource, which are our special education teachers, our speech, our OTPT, and our English language learner services have continued through the digital learning instruction. They will also continue for students who are on Calvert platform. We've also continued having IEP meetings and 504 meetings per the dates and deadlines that we need to have them. Inactive students and behavior. Inactive students, those are students who have not logged in since we started back on January 4th. We have a list that's being compiled. They have been emailed and called by teachers. They have been emailed, called by myself as well, and Mr. Lathan has touched base as well, and we've also sent text messages to all of those parents as well. There are some more that have been added to the list that we need to continue to follow up with. Teachers have already touched base or tried to, but we haven't touched base with all of them. We've also done some home visits. In fact, this evening we're going to be doing one to drop off a Khajiit for internet access for a student. We were waiting around. Mr. Lathan was here last week due to some behavioral issues that had occurred on the digital platform that we were dealing with, and then Mr. Lathan jumped in so we could get hold of the parents, which we weren't able to initially, but then we were, and we were able to get a conference call with them on Friday and get things going. Benchmark number 2 testing dates. MAP benchmark testing number 2 will take place January 25th through February 5th, and we're going to have the MAP growth professional trainings online, which if you would like to take part, I will make sure to get you the invitations for that. February 3rd from 1 to 3 p.m. is session 1, and then February 17th from 1 to 3 p.m. will be session 2. Are there any questions?
One question, how many inactive students do we have right now?
We have 19 inactive students, but so far we have 13 after we've touched base with the parents.
Are they DNF students?
No, not all of them.
What percentage would you say are?
I would say about 50%.
50% of them are DNF
Yes.
students.
And the others are because they're having issues probably with internet or they're just not logging in. So we're trying to there's some that are not staying with their guardians, so parents have contacted us. They're with a different family member at this time that, so we're going back and forth with the teachers and with the parents trying to get a hold of the people that they are with. That's about 3 of those 13.
Yeah, it's not an easy process. So Monday, when we first started, I had to email Steve because we couldn't find the link to sign on. So we had to call one of the friends. And in the 6th grade, they're all in different places. So part of my problem as a parent is we're used to it now, but it's not consistent as to where you click to go sign on or get your lessons or upload and share and all that. So
Like the Google Meeting links in the Google Classroom.
yeah, they're all different. Some are, you gotta scroll down and go back to like, it says August.
Instead of
That's
being at
where
the
the
top
live
of the
link
page.
is. Like, well, why would I click there?
Mhm.
And the other one's up at the top, but then most of those never work, so, but it is confusing.
Thank you for your feedback.
So who do we have monitoring access?
I monitor, and I've gone in, so when parents have called that they couldn't, either Steve gets a hold of me or it's Albert and I, and we go in because we all have access to their Google Classrooms. So those parents that were calling and needing more help with it, we were copying and pasting the Google links for the meetings. Mostly it was for our 6th, 7th, and 8th grade students that were having issues finding. But a lot of them were the same as they had been prior to us going back to digital.
Would it have been possible for the teacher to send a link?
And many of them did send links, and they sent emails to the parents letting them know. Some did not. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Okay, moving on. Now we're at the consent agenda. Entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda, please.
I will move that we approve the consent agenda.
A motion, how about a second?
I'll second.
Motion and a second, any discussion, please?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
So is it to be implied that, the two teachers are gonna be retiring this year, Ms. Freeland and,
No. No, that is just a formality, that's been in our governing board, policy of any unused sick leave pay has to be submitted to the board for potential if they are to
right,
leave or retire, but it's not an official retirement.
so you don't think they're gonna retire?
Not that we have been made aware
Okay. That's why I was like, ah!
of. Yes, that's always my initial reaction as well.
Okay.
So
All right,
no.
thank you.
Is this the program for Builders Club fundraising?
No, this is our, civics
Civics.
fundraiser for Washington DC chapter.
So do they have some for us to sell?
Yes, we can get some for you to sell, definitely. Okay?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
You're on the good.
We love anybody that wants to sell, so we'll make sure we get some to Ms. Kais. Let Ms. Christie Linden know.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion?
I had questions on the financial report, and Mr. Schubert answered those on an email back to me, so I.
You good? Okay. Anyone else? Okay.
All right,
Roll call, please.
let's go. Ms. Tice,
Yes.
Ms. Allen,
Yes.
Mr. Overy,
Yes.
I approve, and Mr. McKinnon.
Yes, motion passes,
Thank you.
thank you. Unfinished business, didn't see any on there. New business, Monica Molina as Executive Administrative Assistant.
So we are very happy to report that Ms. Molina is going to be joining our team again officially. And you see her, her card there again. Originally, we had hired her under a salaried position because of the substitute phone needing to be used and board meetings. The prior admin assistant would usually not be available on Fridays because of the overtime they had worked during board meetings, and we really felt like we needed somebody that could be more available to us when needed. And with having to carry the district cell phone and answer it in the evenings and on the weekends 24/7, that was our rationale for having that person be on salary.
House Speaker
But
Nancy
after
Pelosi called
discussing
for the
with Mr.
resignation of the
Schubert, it really is hard to justify to auditors that we have a classified person on salary. So we thought since we were going to be resubmitting Monica's name, that we might as well clean it up now. So she will be hourly, and her hourly salary is just divided by the salary that she was making before. But it did translate to 7 cents less per hour.
And how many hours is that?
It's a 40-hour-a-week position.
Is it a 9-month or a 12-month
It's a
contract?
12-month position.
And so typically what'll happen is we flex the hours of classified employees, so for the board meeting, if she was here 2 or 3 hours, then she would flex that time, the following week. And we do have our subs on an automated, system now, which has limited the amount of work that the person still has to do, but we need to still talk about the last minute people who call in, because obviously there's no time to submit it for subs to pick up, and so it does still take time. So that's something as a leadership team, we're gonna be meeting with Monica on. In her absence, Miss Eva did learn how to do it as well, and Miss Jenna. So I think there's a way where we could maybe spread the work out, so that it just doesn't fall on one person every weekend or every night.
And as far as the salary position goes versus an hourly, there are 3 criteria that the IRS requires for somebody to be on a salary position. The third one is eluding me, I do not remember what it is, but all three of these criteria have to be met. The first one is the salary has to be over $45,000 a year. The second piece is they have to actually supervise somebody. And since those criteria are not met, she does not qualify as a salary position.
Although we do have the expectation that Ms. Molina, as the admin assistant, executive admin assistant, does supervise Ms. Eva and Ms. Jenna in the front, and kind of the daily operations of the office is what she has been in charge of also.
Thank you. I'll entertain a motion, please, for Monica Molina.
So moved.
Do I have a second? Motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Yes.
Go ahead. Yes, sir.
I'm so happy to see you back. You look great.
Well, thank you. I feel much, much better. Thank
Good,
you. I'm glad to
good,
be
good.
here.
So it's like deja vu.
Yes.
So welcome back.
Any further discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Okay, Ms. Allen,
Yes.
Ms. Geis,
Yes.
Mr. Arcelor, yes. Mr. Olbrich,
Yes.
Mr. McKibben.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Motion passes. Welcome back.
Thank you very much, sir.
Glad to have you back. Okay, 11B, Mr. Stephen Lane is Transportation Director. Background, please.
Okay, so, you'll see there in the rationale, in order to remove some of the meta responsibilities that, Mr. Lathan has had, over the years, reassigning Mr. Lane as a Director of Transportation is a logical first step. Mr. Lane was already incorporating the duties of Mr. Nathan into his routine. Mr. Lane has also fixed the audit issues within the Transportation Department and has been transparent with his actions. Mr. Lane should be compensated for the work that is already done in transportation, as well as these additional duties that he has already been doing, and receive a salary that is in line with the position and the duties to which he has been assigned. So if you remember when we did propose the position as Transportation Coordinator, we knew that our audit findings were horrific and needing a lot of attention in the transportation area, which is why we initially had Mr. Lathan. We had to add him as the Transportation Director because we needed somebody who knew the job, who could help us meet the audit findings and expectations, and he was the one that worked well with transportation and knew it, and he knows the ins and outs of it because he's also been a driver and been in charge of purchasing and maintenance with transportation. So I just want to say thank you to Mr. Lathan because of his work with Mr. Lane and with Mr. Lorenzo Sanchez in terms of their collaboration and their efforts to fix the audit findings and get systems in place that have helped us to correct the audit findings, and we're working with Mr. Schubert. I'm happy to say that we are at this point where we can now turn the baton completely over to Mr. Lane, so that poor Mr. Nathan can continue to do the things, all the other things that are on his job description. And when we talk about Director of Student Services and, you know, kind of a AP position who takes on student services and discipline and athletics, he's also taken on custodial issues, which is not added on his job description that we do need to add. We made that change a couple months ago because with the intensity of our mitigation plan and having to really ensure the cleanliness of our school, Mr. Lathan has been front and center in working with the custodians and making sure that, you know, they're being diligent about their rounds and in supervising, because we really needed someone who was boots on the ground. In the past, that person had been someone in HR or in Mr. Schubert's place who really isn't out and about every single day to see the ins and outs of what's being done or not being done. So we appreciate that. And we really do want Mr. Lathan in his role as student services. I mean, when we look at the DNF report and we look at some of these comparisons, for him to get a couple of things off his plate so he can really help with in student relations in terms of what our next steps will be. So Mr. Lathan, just thank you so much, because we couldn't be at this point without you right now. And Mr. Lane, just for your forward thinking and for your organization and Mr. Lane also came in as a team player and has taken on a lot of additional things and helped us with our school closure, with our lunches, with our deliveries, working well with food service as well. So I can't say enough about how proud I am of our established team because everybody has stepped up and everybody continues to wear multiple hats. So thank you.
Thank you kindly. I'll entertain a motion, please. Mr. Stephen Lane is Transportation Director.
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Discussion?
Just a clarification, in the rationale, Roxanna, it says that Mr. Lane should be compensated for the work that he has already done in transportation, as well as the additional duties he has already been doing. But looking at the PAR, it appears that the compensation is only on a going forward basis, that his salary is being increased on a going forward basis, not for payment for whatever duties he may have been accomplishing in the past. Is that correct?
Yes,
Thank you.
yes.
And is this going to add to the administrative positions of the school?
So it will, but again, I will have Mr. Schubert add, in terms of where we are with our auditors and us being a small rural school, this is a perfect example of, we were notified by the auditors that we're no longer gonna be considered small school status, we're in the medium rural because of the number of students that we serve. So it's actually going to look very different in the charts and the graphs that are reported in our school in terms of administrative costs and pupil allocations.
And just to clarify, it's not our auditors, it's the Auditor General's office that is moving us from a small school to a medium school. So now our administrative costs will look more in line with the rest of the schools that are similar size.
We're kind of in that.
So what was the cutoff? Because we're at what, 560?
The Auditor General they just move you because of the size.
Have we spoken with our legislators about this?
No, we haven't.
So we're currently with preschool at 641.
But I think preschool we determined earlier does not
Generally,
apply.
you're talking smaller schools, you're talking, student population at 400 and less is when you're talking smaller schools. Depending on where we are with our student counts, they try to keep you with the like-size school districts, the Auditor General's office, as far as their district spending reports go. So they try to keep you with, so a school our size is now, I had the list and I forgot it. I believe now we're similar to a Kingman district is one of the schools that we're compared to versus some of the smaller reservation districts that we are currently, or have been in the past.
Patagonia,
Yes.
Altar Valley.
So we're now a small suburban or small rural?
We are now a medium rural.
Medium rural, all right.
And if you'd like, I can go ahead and send you the link to the Auditor General's page that has all the schools that we would be compared with.
Yeah, I would have liked to have received that.
Thank you. Further discussion? Okay.
Just one other question, so what will be our administrative cost per student?
I haven't calculated it, I have not.
We can add it, I can add it to our report or put it in under unfinished business for February's board meeting. Information.
Further discussion?
Are we talking the added cost for Mr. Lang? Or the added cost of us being the medium-sized school?
Well, the medium-sized school is just something that the Auditor General uses
Correct.
to compare us to other similar-sized districts that have the same generality. It's a rural school district versus an urban school district. It's got X amount of kids versus, so there's a range of students that keep you within these categories.
And does a larger school district anticipate higher administrative costs
Yes.
per student?
larger school districts, you know, if you take the largest three districts in the state with Tucson, Flagstaff, and Mesa, their administrative costs are huge just because of the sheer size. You know, when you have 58 schools, that's 58 principals. And then you add in, you know, another 15 high schools within there, there's an extra, you know, 3 vice principals per school. So your administrative cost is going up when you're at the larger schools.
And so the fact that we'll be mixed in with medium schools, which are expected to have higher administrative costs,
Yes.
will kind of show our metric to be equal to, even though we are at
Yes.
Yes.
600 students.
Absolutely correct,
Further questions? Okay, roll call please.
All right, Mr. Ulrich.
Yes.
Mr. Haffner, yes. Ms. Geis.
Yes.
Ms. Allen.
Yes.
And Mr. McKibben.
Yes. Congratulations, Mr. Lane. C, revised job descriptions for Student Services Director and Transportation Director.
So this is where we wanted to provide to you just the red line copies so you can see what we eliminated from the job descriptions and the clean copies of what was added. And like I mentioned, for Director of Student Services, on the clean copy, we do need to add the custodial responsibilities to Mr. Lathan's. So we will do that and just submit a second version of the clean copy for next board meeting with that. And I believe there was one area where it still said transportation on his that we'll remove as well.
In the same section.
Same section, okay, at the bottom.
Is this your standard job description?
Yes. We had worked on aligning them when Lainey was here, so that was prior to Stacy, in reworking them and realigning them so they all looked similar.
Okay, I want to entertain a motion, please, on the revised job descriptions for Student Services Director and Transportation.
I move to approve the new job description.
Second,
Second.
any discussion? Okay, roll call please.
Okay, Ms. Allen.
Yes.
Ms. Geis.
Yes.
I say aye. And Mr. Ulrich.
Yes.
Mr. McKibben.
Yes. Motion passes, thank you. Motion to approve the first reading of Board Policy GCQE.
Oh, good time. You gonna read it?
There you go.
Yes, and this is, if you notice, what was redlined was the maximum rate of $85 per day for our substitutes and $75, so we've had to change them to match our current sub rates. Is there a clean copy? Or it's just the
No, it's
first
just-
read?
it's
Okay,
just
so
first
that's what we will be eliminating and adding. So now it's $85 under the substitute rate.
No.
The maximum rate, what do we pay now, 100?
So right now, so the way it was we were paying out sick leave at a maximum of $85 per day. And then we actually had classified staff in at $75 a day. So we're changing it to the current substitute teacher rate so that it's not a hard dollar sign. So if our sub rate moves up in the future, this would automatically move up with it.
Right, because the sub rate's higher than that. It's 100.
Right.
Yes, yes. The current sub rate's $100 a day, or
Something, yeah.
$120 a day.
It's 120.
Yeah. And then the classified staff would just be $10 underneath whatever the daily rate for a substitute teacher would be. That's what we're moving into. So that there are no hard numbers, and as times go and we increase our rates, or if we decrease our rates, our policy follows that with it.
And this is the part of the policy on that first paragraph where it says an employee must have been employed by the district full-time or a 10-month employee, okay, for a period of 5 consecutive years. And this is where, and must notify the district in writing of intent to resign or retire before January 15th of the year of resignation or termination, in order to be eligible for sick leave reimbursement. So this statement has caused a lot of problems. I think since it's in first read, I'd like to kind of get your input, and I'll look into how it's worded for other districts, because we've had cases where members have had either spouses move and relocate in March or April, and they notify us of the resignation, but because they didn't submit for this actual sick day reimbursement before January 15th, they lost money.
I think that's worth
Significant
discussion,
Mhm.
because I agree with you. I remember when that happened a couple times, and it's not really fair.
Right, and so I just think January 15th is very early, and if that's what happens, it causes everybody to say, oh, well, I better put it in, because if something does transpire, and I understand that a lot of it is for budgeted reasons, is what we were told before, that it was very hard to budget, but
Yes.
I don't know how
One
else.
thing I can say is, in my experience, so I was a business manager up in Navajo County prior to coming to Continental. And we were actually trying, and a lot of the districts in Navajo County were moving towards a more stricter payout of sick leave. So this is kind of in line with what Navajo County and the schools there were trying to move towards.
So, and I agree with the amount of pay, I'm just not sure what we could do about that January 15th date.
Well, if they retire, if they ended up, let's say, found out that they were going to have a military move or something like that in May, they could still indicate this and just not receive the reimbursement until the following year.
No, they wouldn't be able to have it if they don't give it by the 15th. That's what
Well,
we ran
I mean,
into.
I would fight that if it was me.
I agree.
And we did have a
No, I mean,
teacher.
I would fight it and say, I'm notifying you now, prior to January 15th of the next year, expecting the payout then in October.
But they
Even though
weren't
I'm
employed.
terminating my pay now, I'm terminating my position, and I think they'd win.
Well, we had that and they lost,
By
because we fought.
Board?
Mhm.
Well, it was the board and the attorney.
Oh.
It was a similar type thing, and we felt sorry for them, but we had to stick up with policy. So I think that's why this is coming up.
But this portion here, for a period of 5 consecutive years. So if there's a gap year there where they move on, is that what you're
Because
saying?
it's a budgeting issue, so I get for the existing teachers that I think I'm gonna retire, they gotta get their notice and all that for budgeting issues, but if you have somebody that's like, let's just stick with the military thing, that come April, hey, I can't make it back next year, and they've been here however many years, they've got some type of sick leave left, they lose it. And
There's something
I don't
called
get-
USERA.
I don't get
They won't
accrued
lose.
sick leave myself,
They will not lose.
that's beside the point.
So that's why I really think that we can just look at this and kind of see how else we can word it. Whether it be that there's, you know, special, maybe an additional paragraph that says special cases may be reviewed,
That makes sense. Yeah.
you know, by the governing board or,
At the board's discretion.
something.
Or could there be like a step down, like if you notify on February 15th, they get 80% of their sick leave. March 15th, they get 50% or something.
So for me, the easiest way to resolve this issue, because this is a very strict policy, the way it's written.
Yes.
If it was me and I was on the board, I think I would just suggest a period after years, after 5 years, and delete the rest.
Yeah, because they accrued that,
Yes.
and they kind of count on it. I know they all do. I mean, I would,
I mean, because there are scenarios in which, and you bring up, you know, the military family, and it's just not a military family. Somebody's working for the mines and they're getting
Yeah.
transferred
Right.
to Phoenix,
So
to work
after
in
a
a
certain
corporate
amount-
office. You know, so there's, and what I'm trying to do is trying to help the board, trying to get out of a position where they could be seen as showing favoritism towards one employee versus another.
right. So Greg, what is common for Arizona?
This policy is all over the place,
Okay.
okay? Where I came from, it was 25% of your daily rate and no less than $20 per hour. And as long as you had worked for the district for 1 full year, you were eligible for a sick leave payout. So that's just an example of the district that I had come from.
Well, I would suggest we put it on for next month's agenda or discussion, or whatever the right format is.
Yeah, this is, there's no action today, so.
No,
This is the first read,
Yes.
the
Yeah.
next one will be the second read.
I think a second read, and I like where you're going with that. Because it isn't, they've accrued it, and just because you missed a date and something happens, like you said, it could be subjective. Well, you gave Mary one, you didn't give Sue one.
Correct.
And
And
we
because,
did run into that a year or two ago.
and because it has, a cap on the days, I think in terms of budgeting and knowing who are our employees who have more than 5 years, and if we pay them all out at 100, 120
Yeah.
days,
Yes.
what would that look like, or what would that do to our budget?
I think it's besides the budget issue.
Yeah.
Or has been.
That's bugged me ever since we had that problem a couple years ago.
Yes.
Thank you.
So good, so if you'd like to submit some verbiage or plans, and we'll also get a draft to you in terms of what we're looking at prior to putting it on for second read. Couple of different drafts that we can look at.
Cool. Thanks.
Okay, thank you.
A couple questions. Do we have, are we keeping good track of the amount of accumulated sick leave that's
Yes.
there at all
Yes.
times? So
Yes.
that we can anticipate it in budgeting?
We actually have to do a report every year as part of our audit, our annual audit. It's called accumulated absences.
Okay.
And it's basically taking our most liberal policy, which in this case would be our sick leave policy, and calculating what it would cost to pay out every single employee. And we have to hold back that amount of money in case, if 80 employees decided they were gonna quit, and they all gave their notice by the 15th, and they all wanted their sick leave paid out, that we can actually afford to pay them.
Okay.
So this is an unfunded liability that you're budgeting for?
Yes. This is a contingency line in the budget, for better terminology.
And secondarily, isn't the district sick leave policy subject to meet and confer and union negotiations?
It is, and it was,
And this is what it is, and has been negotiated and signed off by the unions? Okay.
but we've had conversations of, we know we need to bring it back. It's usually, in terms of raises, it usually gets put in the back burner.
But how could we do a read on a policy that falls under meet and confer?
Because it doesn't, a lot of districts don't even have meet and confer. So it would be going through this process with policies. So this could be something that we could work on, and it would be great, I think, if we took it to our teachers who are typically on meet and confer to help them look at it. But the main thing that we wanted to address on the policy was the rate, the dollar rates right now. But now as we're talking about this date again on the 15th,
More work to be done.
yes, there's more work to be done.
Right. Any further questions? Good discussion. Okay, report, back to school, 2021, second semester.
Alrighty. So I just kind of put together some information in terms of the meeting that we had with our superintendents and Pima County health officials, and I hope you've all had a chance to read it. And like I mentioned today, after this meeting, it came out on Friday where Dr. Garcia and Pima County Health Department stated that they don't feel that we should, it's not safe to return to school, which is why Mr. Valenzuela, Dr. Valenzuela and Saladita sent out that notice that he was going to remain virtual until the end of the month. So just wanted to have a discussion and see where your thoughts are, what you're thinking. I did speak to him this evening, and he said that his plan was to phase in on February 1st elementary for a week, phase in middle school the following week, and then high school the third week of February. That's their plan. So again, just open to discussion. You saw what we presented earlier. Scroll down a little bit, Nana. I did put here, our continued recommendation. We have been working hard to follow our mitigation plan. Teachers have not contracted COVID to their students, and when we meet with Pima County Health and they have these conversations, there haven't been any cases where teachers have contacted COVID from students in the classroom. The adults are continue to contract COVID via outside school social settings, or teachers or staff working in close proximity to each other, where grade level teachers met for a lunch together, and then they all ended up testing positive, but it hasn't been student to teacher. We never implemented a hybrid model. Class sizes are small enough and classrooms are large enough to allow 4 to 6 feet social distancing, and the requirement that everyone wear a mask at all times is still what we are doing in our plan. Our current class sizes, you can see here, and second grade was updated today, so I just wanted to note that in those 3 classes, there are 23 students in Marski and Fernandez and 22 in Miss Shawback. So they're still under 25, even with the additional. Our middle school classrooms are doubled with students staying in one room, so it's 2 classrooms opened up. And the teachers are rotating and the students are staying in place. Again, the vaccination information, we do have a lot of our staff members who are on a registry waiting for the first vaccine, and like I mentioned, it's also open to board members as well. The first vaccine has an 80% efficacy, and the second vaccine 28 days later provides 93 to 95% efficacy. And as we know, nothing will ever be 100%. We do have, how many teachers did I say in the other report?
So 3 had already had it, didn't you?
Right, and then there were 40-some who were on the list who wanted to be. So some teachers are feeling that once they get the vaccine, they feel that they would be safer, they would feel safer coming back to school. In the responses of the teachers who have said they don't feel it's safe to do so now. We're working with UCHC, and our nurse Maureen has been amazing and very proactive in setting up testing for us. We are going to have another testing on Wednesday. It's scheduled right now for 8 to 10. We were trying to change it to 12 to 2 because of teachers who are teaching virtual to allow them to come at noon when they take their lunch break from their classrooms.
So that's incorrect, huh?
Well, it's still 8 to 10. Yes, it's not 8 to 12, but Maureen said she was still waiting this afternoon to hear from UCHC. Apparently, they only have 7 employees working there right now due to people being out. So worst case scenario, we will have 8 to 10 still scheduled for Wednesday. And again, you're welcome to come to be tested as well. We have had a number of staff members who have had COVID, who have recuperated thankfully with our food service and with our preschool and our admin person. But I think, of course, people who have already had COVID will be on the second or third wave of getting the vaccine, so that we can allow people who have not had COVID get vaccinated first as a priority. And obviously, our priority as soon as the vaccine is available will be for our teachers and our parapros that are frontline every day with the students. So we are going to be working with UCHC, with Pima County Health, and with our local Green Valley Fire Department. So I think between those 3 avenues, we're going to be able to get our staff members vaccinated sooner than later. So that's just kind of want to hear what.
So what's your recommendation going back, before we discuss that?
Well, I really, as of today, like I said, I'm compiling the data from the teachers, I hear them. It's just a tough decision. You know, we know, all the teachers agree that virtual learning, digital learning is not optimal. All the teachers are in agreement that in-person learning is the best route to go. But we're also still in that quandary of ensuring the safety of our staff and our students. We know that, you know, we have a lot of teachers in the last 3 weeks who have been more affected by loss of family members, relatives, Tucson, Phoenix, Mexico. So, you know, it really has hit home. You know, before, you know, I felt like we were kind of desensitized because it hadn't really affected the people that it has now. So it's just a tough decision because you really don't know how any one person is going to react to the virus when they get it. And, you know, and I really do think that now it's not a matter of if you get it, it's when you get it.
Right.
And hopefully with the vaccine.
I've been saying.
Yes.
So, back to my question is we're scheduled to go back in after next week. Sarita's already suspended until February. What do you want to do?
Well, I want to have a discussion with you, and I don't.
So, okay, thank you. So,
Yeah.
do you want to just
I
start
don't
here and go
have-
down?
Yeah, I
Good.
think
You
I'd
wanna do
like to
that?
go down in here because this is
That works.
something that,
Okay.
you
I
know,
thought that's what you wanted. I
the
just
board
wanted to make
has
sure I was
already
following.
given me the authority to make the decision, but I'm not going to make
Right.
the decision without
I
your
know,
input
and-
and without a collaborative effort. And I really do feel so much changes in a week. I even think what we say today,
It's dated hour to hour.
yeah,
It
may
is.
or may not, you know, be
And
pulled for us for next week.
and I think I can speak for all of us. God love you, and, oh my God, it's so hard. But, so, as we know, Sarita said, hey, let's, take another 2 weeks. And they published the numbers on Friday. The infection rate, I don't know if you guys got this or not, but, the infection rate is, per 100,000, 551, or anything over 100 is bad. The test positivity rate on January 7th was 19.9, anything over 10% is bad. Remember, we were looking at the yellow and red and all those little lines, should we reopen, should we not? And then the hospitalization rate isn't as bad, or at least mathematically, is 15.2 versus anything over 10. So that just was what Sarita posted, and they had a death with one of their security guards that used to run track here, a healthy 50-year-old man. You know, I mean, so that said, and then we have the Friday memo that came out from the Pima County Health Department, where they recommend that we stay virtual instruction for the next couple of weeks. And I get the virtual instruction. I live it every day. It sucks. It's a minor, I could say a lot worse. And the extremes that we have to do to get my 6th grader that goes here, and I think it's much better than it was now that but to ask a kid to sit in front of a computer and Kelly has a kindergartner, so she'll comment on that, how that is, you know, for an hour, 5 hours a day for 5 classes, you try that. We've all done the Zoom stuff. You know, and the teachers, God bless them, they're really doing well. They are busting their butts, and some days obviously are better than others than in the classroom. But to go outside the box of saying, well, we're Continental and we have smaller classes and we haven't had any problems, and to go back after another week when Sarita is not, and the the health department is recommending we don't. I probably have a problem with that. But I understand the other reasoning too, because I don't know how many teachers are gonna get tested. And I won't talk too much longer, I'm sorry, guys.
It's okay, I mean,
Are gonna get tested Wednesday. I'm gonna come in and get tested. This is because it's a benefit and, well, anything can happen, and I don't know how many are gonna get tested. But the other thing, let's just say when they all get the vaccine, so let's say the vaccine probably needs to get staggered, and I'll tell you why, is apparently, and you guys probably know better than me, when you get that second shot is when you get sick for a couple days. So if we vaccinate the majority of the staff that's willing to get it, you're looking at a massive sick days, possibly, when that second one comes. But I'm sure there's plans for that, and Sarita is kind of a little bit ahead of us on that. And maybe, you get half here and half there, I don't know. I just wanted to make sure I brought that out, because it's a crazy subject, and I sympathize with all you guys, and sure appreciate every minute of work and effort that you guys do. They're not right or wrong answers, it's also subjective, which is crazy, so I'll quit talking.
and we do have, the staff concerns of not knowing enough about the vaccination to want to get vaccinated right now. That's gonna always be voluntary, we can't
Yeah.
mandate, so, it is, and we are planning for, because we know that second vaccination will probably spike the fever for 2 days, so we are looking at staggering
Yeah,
when, the vaccinations are available and when they get them. But it will be within those 3 systems of the fire department and UCHC and Pima County. It'll look more like we have 30 vaccinations, so tell us what 30 you want. And then it'll be, maybe a
Okay,
couple
so
days
they
later, we have
schedule.
10 or 15, so we,
oh, so they're not gonna
Next.
come in mass here and
No.
say, okay, everybody's,
no, that's not.
well, that makes sense.
We're not anticipating that that's the way it's going to be.
Okay, cool. What do you think of how many teachers will come and get tested Wednesday?
So, that was I think a lot of our teachers will come, or so many of our teachers have already been tested throughout these 2 weeks because of exposure or, so I think definitely, most of them are planning to come with the intention that was our quarantine for 2 weeks, let's be tested, let's make sure that we're all safe to come back before we come in contact with kids again. So Maureen has that list, but I can send it out to you to let you know, but a lot of them are still waiting for the time. But I think everybody is doing what needs to be done in terms of being prepared for staying safe and, but again, the asymptomatic people, it's just, we just don't know.
Yeah, and all that is lived and breathed that, so,
Mhm.
yeah. All right,
Thank you.
sorry.
I think no matter what we decide to do, it's gonna be bad. We just need to pick what's gonna be the least bad. I wouldn't be opposed to doing like hybrid classes or something creative there in the middle, like, maybe only letting kids with 504 IEPs and Ds and Fs come back to keep the classroom smaller. I don't know how to do that without doubling the work for the teachers though. We are putting ourselves out there if we are the only ones not doing digital. So if we do have a lot of cases break out, it's gonna be really easy to get a lot of criticism on that.
I think, may I respond to that, because I'm not sure, I believe Catalina was
Catalina,
Bush Ridge,
Mariana, Glen Wells.
Benson, they are in.
Yes, and
Currently.
Altar Valley, they went back on the 4th hybrid. But they're also still in the discussion of, are they gonna just go back virtual for these next 2 weeks? They have a board meeting this week as well.
Yeah.
Um,
Push Ridge has like 10 kids per class.
There's a lot of charter and private schools that do have kids going full-time.
We know, that's
We are-
not comparable.
We are still the only school in Pima County that has all kids coming back every day, 5 days a week. The schools that are in, going to school are in hybrid mode. And Mrs. Cuevas and I have had a lot of conversations with, friends in terms of what hybrid looks like, and we have the same. Some teachers are like, oh my gosh, please no, and others say, yes, it's a good idea. So it's the same, it's the same controversy, it's more work for teachers. Again, I've talked to some friends who they're in hybrid and maybe they have 12 kids that are supposed to be there. You have, 3 to 5 kids who are out because of either quarantine or sick for whatever reason, normal absences, and they're teaching to 6 or 7 kids in the class, and then repeating it again to 6 to 7, so is it better to just have all 14 in the class at the same time? When you look at our kinder classes, we have one with 20, one with 14, and one with 21. So if we did a hybrid and split those kids, and we have 10 kids in the classroom, 3 out, or 4, and then you're having a teacher teach a whole day's lesson to 6 kids. So, and then having to repeat it again for the next cohort. So either way, it's very difficult. But good points.
Well, I think you know where I am on this issue. I've stated it before. I frankly, publicly, proudly state that Continental is the only school in Pima County that has in-class instruction 5 days a week. I think it's something to be proud of. It's a testament to our staff that put together the continuity of operations plan. It's a testament to our teachers, and I proudly state that. I think the stats are the stats. COVID cases are going through the roof. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's happening in schools. And I think the statistics show that it's not happening in the schools. I think what the statistics do prove is that the damage we are doing to our kids academically, emotionally, and mental health-wise is causing far more damage than the risk that they have to this virus. And the virus does not transmit, according to the experts, from student to teacher. I think you've stated that, you've done the research on that, and I think it's incredibly important that we go back to class on the 19th of January. If we wait until the 1st of February, we're going to be having the same discussion, because the cases are not going to go down until this vaccination campaign starts moving forward. And so we're going to be dealing with the same level of statistics that in 2 more weeks than what we're talking about now. I absolutely recommend that we go back to class for all the teachers that we have had on that situation on the 19th of January.
Well, I was very excited to see several of our teachers out in social environments recently. So I know that there must not be a great deal of concern about them going to work because they're out and about actively engaged in activities that they could just as well have been here. The only difference is they're with a population that could likely be asymptomatic or whatever. So I know, I really believe that some of our teachers who were concerned, I know they're out and about. So I think that that concern has been lifted. The only way to manage this is a data-driven approach. If you're trying to figure out how to make a decision, I think that's what you need to do. And so if you begin by looking at the statistics, you've already stated that none of our teachers got the COVID virus as a result of being in a classroom. So we're not passing the virus from the children to the teachers. I think what Mr. Ullery said regarding the emotional, academic, social, and behavioral well-being of children is probably what we should be holding in the utmost of consideration in this decision. So if we look at this from a data-driven approach and not using data statistics that we can't apply to this district and to the people that will be at this school. So I'm not saying Pima County-wide. I'm saying look at the data here. I think that's the key, that's how you do it. I share Mr. Ullery's concern, and as you may or may not know, Superintendent, I had the opportunity to interview Superintendent Williams on the radio, and I took great pleasure in saying to him and to everybody who was listening that Continental is open 5 days a week, and we are doing our job, and I called out the names of each one of you and the fine job that you've done, and I'm going to continue to stand by that.
Thank you. Of course, this is very tough. I share their desire. I think we ought to be back in the classroom. But on the other hand, I also have a very good friend lost his wife 48 hours ago, a gal that I've known for 25 years. So it hits hard, and I'm sure it's hit everybody in this room. I understand the concern. I do have faith, however, I have incredible faith in the COOP plan that was developed at the school. I have faith that we have the distancing we need. I have faith that we have the right protocol in place day in and day out. I have faith that everything on this campus is being done in line with that COOP plan. I think it works, and I think we ought to be very proud of that. The only issue I have is that once the lights go off here in the afternoon, we can do absolutely nothing to control what happens with parents, family, friends. We can do absolutely nothing about that. I suppose that's called life. There's nothing we can do. But I agree, I don't want to be here in a month having the same discussion. I don't think any of us do. It's a tough call, but I do have faith in the plan that we developed. I have faith that we can continue to do it safely. I think the testing that happens this week, I think is absolutely critical that everybody that's going to be on campus should be tested. That was the whole point of this. If I recall, the 2-week window that we gave, that we pushed it back, and we scheduled that testing day specifically for that reason. So I please, if you're going to be on this campus, be tested on the 13th. And I think that might paint a picture that will be helpful in making that decision. If everyone's clean, everyone's ready to go, I'm not sure I see many barriers. If it's a different discussion, if that's not the case, then I guess we may have no choice but to push back a week or two just because we may not have the people to run the operation.
And that's always been what our discussion has been. As long as we have the healthy staff to be able to teach the students in the classroom and the staff to be able to help with the supervision and our parapros, we can operate as long as we have healthy staff. But you're right, and if, we have a lot of teachers test positive on Wednesday, then obviously we'll have to look at continue creative ways to ensure that the classes and kids are covered. We've also discussed, I think one of the concerns primarily where larger groups of students gather is lunchtime. So we've had some conversations that of course will solidify in terms of, do we send half of the middle school kids to lunch in the cafeteria one day and keep them in their class, or how do we kind of separate these 23 kids in the kinder class, because that's usually when they'll be together during lunchtime, to add more areas maybe for them to eat, or how we want to work that, but that's something that we have talked about. In lieu of going hybrid, how do we separate kids to be in even smaller groups than what they are right now?
If I may add, that is critical. If you're not following the COOP plan to to a T, then this all goes out the window, as far as I'm concerned, because that was the point of it. And in my opinion, I think it works. And if you remember, right before Christmas break, we had a cafeteria where everyone was gone. But everybody pitched in. Whoever could pitch in did. They did their part. And I think that's what Continental's about. You make it work. You have to get a little creative, and you put on some gloves and go to work. I truly, truly hope that no one else gets sick, and certainly no more harm to anyone here, but it may be a while. It may be 6 months, but I think that at some point we have to move forward. And we have to trust that the plan we have in place works. And we have roughly 4 months that shows us that it does. Now, like I said, there are, if something happens with the testing to show otherwise, then that might be a different discussion. But I absolutely will support whatever's best. But if the faculty at the school simply are not comfortable coming back and we cannot get enough people to make it happen, then I suppose it is what it is.
And I think our teachers are very appreciative of the opportunity to voice their opinions and to let us know what they're thinking. And I say, you know, we value your opinion. We want to hear from you because we are trying to make an informed decision. And I tell them my job is to also represent them to the board. And if they don't let me know what they're thinking, it's hard for me to let you know where they stand. But our teachers, again, are they're feeling like we are, yes or no. We want to keep people safe. We know we want to have our kids in school. And 90% of our staff, you know, appreciates our leadership, appreciates our board and the direction, and will do right by students always. So I think our teachers, whatever decision we make, they're gonna put their best foot forward and they're gonna do their job, which is what they've been doing despite some of, you know, their concerns or things that have happened. So I think, again, our teachers, and they're in the front lines, so they are the ones who have to be diligent about following the mitigation plan, about keeping students safe, keeping, you know, their masks on, students' masks on, and I think our parents appreciate that too.
But I have to add again, I have to stress that it's more than the COOP plan here at school. You have to be very strict with what you do outside of the school, because it's all an extension of what happens here. And whether that's going to Walmart or a restaurant or whatever you do, it's critical. And so we have to have that discipline to make this work.
And we can continue to message that out to our parents, like, please, you know, we've tried to say, don't go to birthday parties, don't have birthday parties, things need to look different, so that we can ensure the safety of the students and staff.
So what do you do with the teacher that says, I or a family member has a compromised immune system, and I do not feel comfortable coming back?
So we'll continue to address those on a case by case, but I also do understand that the COVID funds are running out in terms of staff members quarantining, and we need to research that, because from what I understand is the funds are depleting, and moving forward, if a person needs to quarantine or not come to school, it's not gonna be a COVID paid expense. It's gonna be out of their own personal.
So they leave without that,
Either a leave without pay, or
but they wouldn't lose their job.
right now, there has not been any cases when people have had to quarantine. They haven't had to use their own personal sick bank that has been accumulated. But at some point, that's gonna end. And so we do need people back at school. So there may be some tough decisions that some staff members might have to make in terms of taking a leave of absence for the rest of the school year.
Well, that's what I meant.
Yes.
To be a leave of absence and not lose your job
Right.
because of circumstances out of their control.
Right, and so with the appropriate doctor's notes and following up with HR and following protocol, that may occur, where we may be seeing in the next couple
I'm
of
not sure
weeks.
it's gonna be my area if it happens at all.
Right. Mr. Schubert, Ms. Cuevas, do you wanna add anything? Thoughts?
Just thank you all for your input, your consistent support, your feedback, and I know all of us want to be back at school. That's what's, we all know that being here and on site is important, and it's the most effective for our students and for all of us. And thank you. I mean, thank you for your consistent support. Thank you to the teachers who have given their feedback and answered you, Superintendent Rico, in your emails. Whatever is decided, we're going to go forth and we're going to do it as best as we can do it.
That's very much appreciated.
They threw in my 2 cents.
You can have up to a nickel.
I'll take it. So, I considered it an inevitability that everybody in this room will at one point come down with this virus. And in my opinion of that is that we cannot live in fear of this virus. If it's something that's gonna happen, it's gonna happen. We've seen what happened when we came back from the Thanksgiving break with the number of cases that we had, be a student or staff. We've taken the appropriate measures to try and to at least contain that by taking this 2 weeks. During the reports, we've seen the number of students with D's and F's, and the most horrible thing about that was the number of kids that we've had to send off for additional mental health issues. My oh so humble opinion is that these kids need to be back here on the 19th. Not just for their mental health, but for their education. Right now is the groundwork that we are laying for the rest of their lives. And in order to have that solid foundation, they need to be here. They are losing out on not just their education, but they're missing out on developing interpersonal skills, because you can only talk to somebody over a computer without having that personal interaction for so long before it's completely lost. So in my oh so humble opinion, I would like to see everybody here on the 19th.
Thank you.
Please, gentlemen.
I'll go. My opinion is there's never going to be a good or a comfortable time to go back to school during a pandemic. And so now is as good as time as any. I work with the students who have a hard time in school. I work with the students who have a hard time in life. I've been busier with the hard time in life more than I ever have, in the first quarter that we've been back versus like an entire school year of the past previous years. And some of the information that Ms. Rico shared, she asked me to provide that for her. A lot of those cases, the parents actually came and said, we chose the online learning. We need to bring them back now, tomorrow. These kids can't be in their rooms locked up any longer. And we, as a school, said this is what we need to do and got them in touch with the resources for the CRC. The mental health aspect of these children right now, the research shows that the children are not as susceptible, but they are susceptible to depression. And it's a real monster out there that is not getting the limelight. And that's what Ms. Cuevas and I have been dealing with. And the kids, if you talk to the kids when they're here, our campus is buzzing with joy and happiness and learning. And I feel like I've done more disciplinary stuff over the last couple of days trying to get kids to get on their computers and try to log in. We don't have those issues because our teachers are great at what they do, and they're doing the best they can digital, but that's not what they're trained for. They're trained to be there in person, working with our kids, and I know there's risk in that. I too watch the Pima County's numbers, I watch the state numbers, and really to me, I watch Continental's numbers. And we are not trying to run the county, we're trying to run a school. And the service that we bring to these kids, you know, you talk about how far we've been behind education, the students in Arizona are. I honestly feel at the end of this, Continental may have actually jumped up already on some of the other kids in the state because of us going 5 days a week. And I think we need to continue with that trend. I think it will be beneficial to our students academically in the long run. Who knows what will happen, but so far you look at what the COOP has done, which was built by a team of people, but how we've been able to keep our numbers very low. Someone I was talking to about our success, and they said at some point we may become a case study just because other schools aren't having that as much success, and we're talking to those administrators about what the differences are. And so I think it's, in my opinion, yes, do I foresee more people getting sick here? Absolutely. It's a pandemic. You can't run from it, and I don't think we should hide from it, but we should do the best we can to educate our kiddos, and that's what we do best as a public school system. And so that's my 2 cents.
Thank you. Both these gentlemen would like to hear what you have to say.
I'm not on the education side of things, so I don't have a problem coming back to work. You tell me to work, I'll be here. I do have drivers who are extremely concerned. I have a driver who's on a bus that's bringing 60 kids on that bus every single day because parents don't want to wait in line to drop off their kids. So I have buses that are fully maxed out right now. And today I had one driver who said he's not coming back until the pandemic is under control. I already have one driver sitting at home waiting for the vaccine to become available and won't come back until his mother has the vaccine as well. I'll figure it out. If you guys say be here on the 19th, and you want kids transported, there's gonna be buses moving. I have drivers, of my 7 drivers on campus for the elementary portion are ready to go. But they do have concerns, and they're working through their own concerns, but they've all said they're gonna come back. I mean, we'll be back on campus on Thursday to get our buses ready for Tuesday, but my drivers have said they're coming back. They do all have concerns because they are, as I've said before, they're in a little small incubator for 30 minutes with these kids, some of them for an hour and a half, because of the distance they have to go. I don't have the distance anymore like we had originally planned in Coop. We've had to make adjustments on the transportation side for that. But our buses are clean, our drivers are washing their hands, the buses are being disinfected morning and afternoon. It is what it is. So if you guys say,
Temperature check, correct?
Yep.
Before they go on the bus? Yeah.
so we haven't had any problems with that. Again, I agree with what's saying, on these in the 4 walls of the fences of our campus, it's not the problem. It's outside once everybody gets picked up. You watch it. You walk out this door, masks are off, and here I go. I was at Walmart this morning, same thing. I see parents, like you're saying, parents and teachers out. I see families that are not wearing masks and they're walking through Walmart like it's no big deal. It's outside of these 4 walls, we can only control so much. So here, I think we do a fantastic job. Cleaning, distancing, the schedules and stuff are great, but we can only do so much here. So from a transportation side, you say you be here on Tuesday, we'll be here on Tuesday.
Thank you. Gentlemen?
It's not an easy decision, but I think ultimately we just have to decide what's best for the students, what we think, best serves them. So, for me, it doesn't really go either way. I think I'm more busy these last week than I have been, just dealing with the online, the Calvert Learning side. But we just have to make a determination of what we think is best for our students.
I just got confirmation from Maureen that Wednesday from 10 to 12:30. So that'll help our teachers who can either take their lunch break a little bit earlier from their classroom. So we'll get that out to ensure that they come at that time. And there isn't a sign up, so if you just come in between 10 and 12:30, and it is a rapid test, so we'll have results right away.
That's confirmed, 10 to 12:30?
Yes, it's confirmed, hot off the press.
So some of our middle school teachers may have to just maybe perhaps let the students know that they're gonna assign something for that
Right.
time.
Yeah, and I think that'll be the message, Mrs. Cuevas, to the teachers. We really want to emphasize the importance of everybody that's gonna be on campus to come be tested on Wednesday to ensure that we're ready to go for Tuesday. And that if they have to assign a class or get out of the Google Classroom early to be able to be here, definitely, I'm sure parents and kids will understand and appreciate the fact that
How many teachers are coming here to teach? Or they all?
everybody except for our virtual, the ones who are remaining virtual, we have three virtual teachers. And
Oh,
then,
but the other ones are coming here on campus and doing it from their room.
no, not right now. We had said for these 2 weeks, everybody's home quarantining. So we are actually the first ones who have been on campus.
Oh, so for some of them, it's a good drive to come down.
Yes.
There's only been a few that I've had to come and let in to get supplies that they had forgotten,
Right.
but they've not been in contact with one
Well,
another.
like Flower lives in Moran.
Right, so she'll
So
come
that's
from,
she probably.
she's used to driving it every day for the last 20 years. She's had a break.
Oh, I know, but
She'll be
This is-
happy to come from.
so then she misses 3 hours every day.
Oh, yeah, well, and I think that's probably the least of our worries because I think she can
I like that
assign the
answer, yeah.
kids. She can assign the kids an assignment
Yeah.
and log off and they'll
Yeah,
be
and
good.
they've got such a good team, they can, you know.
Yes, yes, I think that they'll be able to figure it out. Okay, so we'll,
Thank you for everyone's input, I appreciate it.
yes, thank you. Yep, thank you.
Thanks very much. Board and school events. Let's see, anything on here? Quick.
Okay, we did make a change. Originally, early dismissal was set for, the 20th? The 20th on that Wednesday, but we felt with kids coming back on Tuesday, why would we go early dismissal the very next day? So we moved the early dismissal back a week. Okay? Other than that, everything still remains the same.
And the next board meeting?
Our next board meeting is February 1st at 6 PM. And
February 1st?
February 1st, is that a typo?
I believe it would be the,
We have, sorry, hold on. Sorry, February 8th. Sorry, correction, yes, February 8th.
right. And while we're here, looking at dates, folks, can you write down some dates for me, please, of potential retreat dates? And if you would, please go through these days and get back to Ms. Rico about when they work for you. The 16th of February, the 17th of February, 22nd of February, and March 1. Will you please get back to Ms. Rico about which days may work for you and any potential discussion items for the retreat?
What time? Like half
So
day,
that we're open. Usually
morning, 8 to noon or something?
sort of, or 9 to 1 or 2 or
9 to
something like that typically, yeah. So if you would, just take those dates home and chew on them for a day or two and figure out what works for you. I appreciate it.
So let's plan for 9 to 1 because that gives us a chance to get kids in class, get them going, and then the team that needs to be present for 9 o'clock. And then we'll do a working lunch and then end by 1.
Okay.
Okay, so Tuesday, February 16th, or Wednesday, February 17th, Monday, February 22nd, or Monday, March 1st.
Okey-doke.
Perfect.
Okay, governing board information. Mr. Osterle, you're up.
I think, thank you all for the great discussion, and I support your decision.
Mrs. Allen, you're up. Any wisdom for the rest of us? First of all, welcome.
Thank you.
Yes, by the way, yes.
Well, I just really appreciate how much heart this school has in their kids. I think you can tell everything you guys have done is for the kids. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
So just by the way, if you guys don't know, Kelly's had 2 kids go through. Both are in high school now, and now she has a kindergartner.
Right. know the feeling.
The only
So
reason-
do I,
The
for
only
half
reason
a
I
day.
don't have a problem with online school is the teenagers in my house.
Got it. Nothing? Okay.
I just, again, I did get the opportunity to spend 30 minutes on the radio with Superintendent Williams over the holidays, and I think he is well aware, and to echo Mr. Lathan's point, I do believe that they are looking at Continental as a model to use as best practices. So I can't remember what he said, but he said something.
Thank you. Let's have a good year, folks. It might be a rocky road, but I have faith that everyone in this room will make it happen. Whatever the decision is made, whatever the decision is, it'll be the right decision, and we'll move forward. Do everything we can to get these kids back, and look forward to working with you. Thanks, folks.
And I also just want to reiterate that Pima County Health, although they do not recommend in-person learning at this time, they make it very clear that they're here to support our decision and what we decide to do, and they want to make sure that we have the PPE that we need, that, we have whatever we need. So they keep reiterating if there's additional supplies and materials that we need at any time, that to let them know.
Are they providing?
Yes, if we need it, we'll get it.
Okay.
So,
Where's Nexus
they've been
Service?
very supportive, and Mr. Williams as well. We speed dial, just have conversations all the time, and nobody is gonna force us to do anything. Whatever decision we make, whatever we do, they're there to support our decision and our students and our families. And they have been very good with responding in terms of contact tracing, in terms of answering the phone, in terms of guiding us and being there. So I do truly feel that we do have a lot of support of people in Green Valley and in Pima County who are, here to help us with whatever we need to continue to move forward. Okay?
Thank you. We will recess to, we have some signatures, correct?
Yes.